I'm Rick Harp. This is your APTN News Brief for Friday, March 8th. We begin in Saskatchewan, where the inquest into the in-custody death of mass killer Myles Sanderson is now over. Here was some of the reaction from James Smith Cree Nation, the site of his violent series of stabbings. Rachel May.
September 7th, 2022 was the day Myles Sanderson was arrested for stabbing 11 people to death and wounding another 17 on the James Smith Cree Nation and nearby village of Weldon in Saskatchewan. It was also the day he died. Eddie Head is Director of Justice for James Smith Cree Nation. He's also Myles Sanderson's uncle. He says the inquest into how he died was a way to provide closure to families.
In order for us to move on, we have to forgive. If you can't forgive, you can never heal.
Head acknowledged that drugs played a huge role in the safety of the community. They still do. He says that this is why it's so important for the community to police itself.
Local security, they know who belongs to the First Nation, and they know the vehicles that come on and come out. There is still that problem with drugs on the First Nation, but not as bad as it could be if it wasn't the involvement of our security.
At the inquest, videos of Sanderson's arrest was made public. It shows him asking how many people he had killed and why no one had shot him. Vanessa Burns, Sanderson's ex-common law partner of 15 years, said she was disgusted by what she saw.
Kind of impacted me a little bit because I thought maybe he'd be a little bit sorry for what he did.
Burns says she's happy with the recommendations that came out of the inquest, like better driver training for the RCMP and a dedicated team for finding people with outstanding warrants. But she hopes it isn't just all talk and the RCMP and Saskatoon City Police implement change. During the inquest, it was said that Sanderson had abused Burns during their relationship. She is now taking counseling to help her on her healing journey.
Getting out of domestic violence is just learning to get to know yourself, like even just spending time alone. Figuring what you like to do and what you like.
Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
A group of Kahnawake traditionalists has denounced the neighboring municipality of Châteauguay for a lack of transparency about an oil spill last month, a spill that's made its way into the Mohawk community. But as Maricela Amador reports, the source of the spill remains disputed.
People of the Longhouse are aware of and have been monitoring an industrial fuel spill that occurred in the municipality of Châteauguay on February 1st.
A convoy from the Longhouse in Kahnawake arrived in the neighboring community of Châteauguay on March 1st and delivered a message to Mayor Eric Allard regarding an oil spill that has contaminated part of their territory.
Well, it appears as though the incident was reported to Châteauguay's emergency services by private business where the oil spill originated. The municipality of Châteauguay never informed Kahnawake of the spill. Upon inspection, it also appears that Châteauguay's cleanup efforts only went as far as the boundary line of Kahnawake.
According to representatives of the Longhouse in the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake, the community only became aware of the industrial spill involving a tanker truck on February 9th, after a resident reported smelling fuel on his property. The Longhouse believes that Châteauguay deliberately attempted to conceal the incident.
Adding insult to injury, Kahnawake is now forced to clean up someone else's mess without the help of Châteauguay and Quebec's Environment Ministry.
However, Mayor Allard disputes any allegations of concealment, saying he was only informed of the situation by the council on February 13th. Moreover, he said that they are still unsure if the February 1st incident is linked to the contamination in Kahnawake.
What happened on the 1st was a simple mechanic problem with a truck that needed to be towed. That's why our employees, the city fire department was there. They did a cleanup. They had some discussion with the owner of the truck, and that was it. So there was no spilling. They checked around the ditch there.
Additionally, Allard noted that the Châteauguay Fire Department found that oil had leaked from the truck's fuel tank and that the oil tanker was empty. Allard said his municipality has been working with the Quebec Environment Ministry and Environment and Climate Change Canada.
I'm waiting for the report about that so we can find who's responsible for the situation.
In a written statement, the Quebec Environment Ministry told APTN that it had been informed of the oil spill in Châteauguay on February 12 and that the quantity of petroleum spilled remains unknown. The ministry said that the investigation is ongoing. Kahnawak's Environment Protection Department has also been investigating the spill. It ordered the evacuation of one home due to the smell of fuel. In terms of containment, the department has installed check dams in affected areas. On March 2nd, Grand Chief Nahawi Sky Deer addressed her community.
I'm sure people were aware that representatives of the Longhouse delivered a message to the mayor's office in Châteauguay, which was important because we definitely don't think that they're taking this seriously and taking accountability and responsibility.
She also had a meeting with Quebec Premier François Legault to discuss the spill.
And basically asked the Premier Legault if there would be commitment on behalf of the CAQ government to deploy any resources that would be necessary as we, proceed through this. And there was definitely a commitment made.
Following his meeting with the Grand Chief, the Premier said that he is taking charge of the situation.
I want to make sure that the Environment Ministry and Mr. Charette, that we first investigate exactly the situation and that we participate to the financing of the corrections that are needed.
Maricela Amador, APTN National News, Chateauguay.
Yesterday marked the final day to submit claims to the First Nations drinking water class action settlement. The $8 billion settlement aims to address a lack of clean drinking water on some First Nations. Around $2 billion will go towards compensation for suffering. Individuals could also apply for additional compensation for specified injuries. Eligible First Nations and individuals are those subject to a drinking water advisory of at least 1 year between November 20th, 1995 and June 20th, 2021. And finally, a new bench outside the Tsuut'ina Nation now serves as a reminder of the dangers of impaired driving. As CTV's Jordan Canagan reports, the bench also means a lot to the family of a woman killed in a crash 7 years ago.
It feels like it was just yesterday.
It never leaves my mind. It's my grandkid's mom.
It's been more than 7 years since Donna McGuinness's daughter, Deanna, was killed in a drunk driving crash. Deanna, or Dee Dee, was killed in 2016 on Tsuut'ina Nation. On Wednesday, a bench to remember the 32-year-old and other victims of drunk driving was unveiled in front of the nation's police station.
So to have that representing some of the loss that we've experienced on the nation, it not only means something to us as a police service, but it means something to the family who experienced that loss and to all of those people on nation that would have known her.
Deanna's young children and other family members quietly watched the unveiling. It was a small ceremony, but a powerful one. The bench serves as a memorial for victims and a reminder of the consequences of getting behind the wheel while impaired.
There's a lot of people out here that have lost loved ones to drunk drivers on Tsuut'ina Nation. There is still a lot of hurt and people out there that are hurting from drunk drivers.
There are now 4 benches like this in Calgary and area. Mothers Against Drunk Driving have installed them at Calgary Police, Fire, and EMS headquarters. Now Tsuut'ina has its own symbol.
Every time I go into the police headquarters and I see our first bench, it's always like spotless, it shines. To show the dedication that we're here fighting the fight to stop impaired driving.
Jordan Canagan, CTV News, Tsuut'ina Nation.
And that's your APTN News Brief for Friday, March 8th. I'm Rick Harp.